Good morning, good morning. It is Monday the 30th of September 2024. You're watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Welcome to Johan, welcome to City Life, and Simon Smith, Gareth T, we've got Angela in there, we've got Scott, we've got BUFU Mike complaining about me being late. We've got Vendetta in there, we've got Ivan Ambrose, and Johan and others. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Today we're going to be talking about Kemi Badenoch and the Tory leadership contest, and the fact that, they're having their conference. Which someone pointed out that Keir Starmer might have to declare the gift that is the Tory party conference. And we've had Kemi Badenoch already talking about the fact that the reason why people aren't having as many children as they used to is because of maternity leave. Yes, it makes no sense, but we'll get to that in a moment. We'll also be talking about Rosie Duffield, who has left Labour after, being part of Labour to get herself elected. 8,500 people voted for her, and now she's left. She's left Labour. She's now an independent. Is she going to run again as an independent? Is she going to sacrifice her chance of being an MP for the next 5 years? Don't think so. 80 grand a year. Come on, Rosie. You're not going to give that up, are you? You're not going to run as an independent, as an transphobic independent. No. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to Kemi. So, Kemi Badenoch gave an interview yesterday, which was just as bonkers as you might expect from the current crop of Conservative MPs, considering there's only 121 of them left, and they were all the ones who were absolute freaking wingnuts, and the hardcore of the Tory party. And she's gone on record as saying that maternity pay, I should say, is too generous. And that's what's putting people off having children. I'd like to know your opinion on this. So if you're not a subscriber to the channel and you can't talk on it, just subscribe. That's all you need to do. Hit the subscribe button and you can join the conversation. I'd like to get your opinion on what is causing the huge decline in fertility rate in this country. That's not the same as fertility as in needing IVF treatment. This is to do with the rate of which we are replacing the population. It needs to be around 2.1 in order to sustain the population at the current levels. It's currently around 1.4. Why is that? Why indeed? I'll tell you why it is. Because it's too freaking expensive to have children. Just when I was a kid, you could maintain a semi-detached house on a single income and raise a couple of kids. 3 kids, 4 kids, didn't matter. Because the money was there. Now the money is not there. Whether you're paying rent or you're paying for a mortgage, the money ain't there anymore. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. So people are putting off having children later and later because you need to have 2 people working at all times in order to afford to have children, to feed them, to clothe them. And then you have childcare costs on top of that. So you're looking at that going, yeah, doesn't sound so great to me. And then you've also got the existential threat of climate change. Yeah, to look forward to. Hey kids, look what we've done. We've destroyed your future for you because we needed to make big profits for big oil. But surely, our children in the future say, we could have used renewable energy a long time ago. We could have had electric cars, which have been around for over 125 years. We could have had electric cars everywhere. We could have had wind turbines. We could have had more investment in solar panels so that the efficiency of solar panels went up massively in the 1980s rather than when they did actually go up massively in the 2010s. We could have done this years and years and years ago. We knew all about it, but no, those oil companies needed their massive profits, and those politicians who they paid to, shill on their behalf and pass laws that benefited the big oil companies, giving them huge state subsidies. The kind of thing that would make a 55 Tufton Streeter absolutely wince if they were given to a single mum living on benefits in Birmingham. No, we can't give her billions of pounds. She's a single mum living on benefits in Birmingham. But if the Saudi Arabians and the Algerians and the Lebanese and those lovely people down in Angola, who are lovely, don't get me wrong, but, if the people in charge of those countries, while the rest of the country lives in shit, the people in charge, they don't need our subsidies. I think we should give it to them. I think we should give them massive subsidies, state supported by our state to their state. Why not? For them to oppress their own people. But yeah, so there are various reasons why Kemi Badenoch, well, why people might not have children, but Kemi Badenoch is convinced that it's because it's too easy. It's too easy, maternity pay. Yeah. Now, I've got a quiz for you while I read your comments in a moment. So there was actually a madder thing said as a reason why people weren't having many children. And this was said by the vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance. If anyone knows what that is, please put it into the chat so we can talk about it. Because, believe it or not, it is even more bonkers than Kemi Badenoch stating that it's because of maternity pay existing. So, good riddance to Rosie Duffield, says Ivan Ambrose. Couldn't agree more, mate. Ben Ridding says, morning, Jennings screaming Tory hypocrisy yesterday on Trevor Phillips after receiving 75 grand from a sports company based in the Cayman Islands with no employees. Rosie left Labour and Owen Jones instantly became a biggest fan. Reminder, Owen Jones isn't a trans ally. Yes, Anthony, I couldn't agree more. I think Owen Jones is in politics or political commentary for one reason. And that's Owen Jones. The reason is Owen Jones. That's what it is. He's in it for himself. Richard Fraser, I hope Badenoch gets the job. Should we keep them out of power for a whole decade? Craig says, well, pensioners don't need maternity pay, so the Tory base resents it. It's a very good point, Craig. You put it in inverted commas, so I'm guessing someone else said it, but yes. The members will vote for Kemi, says Gary. Vendetta, I can't afford the cat, can only just afford me, says Vendetta. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is the situation that we are in at the moment. 40, 50 years ago, we were not in this situation. You could have a one income household and you could live to a pretty good standard. You can't anymore. Even like just doing nice things, like going to a gig is now ridiculously like 500% more expensive than it used to be. And it's not like it's gone up in line with inflation. A beer is like way more than it used to be. I got a bottle of beer from my favourite pub in the world in Liverpool, this is the Jacaranda, where I used to go as a kid. I still go to this day. And it was only 15 years ago. It's not that long ago, in 2009, when they were still doing £1 a bottle for Stella Artois. You could get a bottle of Stella for £1. Now, when I went there on last week with Femi, he doesn't drink, so I got a drink for myself and I got him some Coke or something. It was £5.50. £5.50 in 15 years. Oh my God. That's how much it got up. Obviously, the £1 a bottle was an offer, but it's like... Carity said, this is why I pushed that 40 hours free healthcare should be available to all working families. More folk working more income to the economy. I think people should get paid to have kids. I think the state should pay people to have children. That's it. That's my solution to this. In the same way that I think that landlords should pay their tenants for looking after their property, I think that the state should pay people to have children. That's these two options. We can have more immigrants, which is fine, or we can pay people to have children. Either is good with me. Or both even. I don't mind. More the merrier, that's what I say. Electric cars are fabulous, but how could I have one? My house is on a road with double yellow lines, can't charge it, says Shin Z. Yeah, exactly. The infrastructure is not there at the moment. And aside from the infrastructure, they're still too bloody expensive because there's no subsidies. There should be massive subsidies for electric cars. So if you buy the same class of car, you can get 50% off if you buy an electric one rather than buying an internal combustion engine one. And also, I mean, when we talk about infrastructure, there's a lot of hold-ups with the infrastructure, which is a huge problem at the moment. And there's things like, if you can charge at home, great, you've got a driveway, maybe you're doing quite well. That means that you only pay 5% VAT on the energy that you put into that car. If you charge at a commercial charger, it's 20% VAT. Things like that is why it's not as attractive as it should be to have an electric car. If that's wingnut, probably immigrant trans people. No, not to do with couches. Henry Ford's wife had an EV when the Model T was launched in 1908, the Baker electric town car. Fantastic. Captain says Owen Jones is as pleased with Duffield as he is with himself. Indeed. One, Angry Bacon, too easy after kids. Pretty sure housing is a prerequisite to make having kids easier. She fails on that one too. Indeed. Has anyone got the JD Vance question? Did Vance blame cats or something? No, better than cats. No one's got it yet. Coke ain't cheap in a pub now either. No, Vendetta. You can buy a block. You know the syrup that you plug in and then you mix it with the water and the CO2. As it comes out of the little square thing, those boxes work out to about a penny a pint. Like, it's a penny for a pint. And then you charge, I don't know, £3.50 for a pint of Coke that's cost you a bar 1 penny. Yeah, that's how a lot of bars make a lot of money. Given the choice, I'd rather have alcohol-free beer because I can drink that for a while. Do you know what I mean? If I have like more than half a pint of Coke, I can't drink anymore. It's too sweet. It makes my teeth go off. Furby. But Graham, by that logic, will owe Boris Johnson thousands of pounds, says Simon Smith. No, not Boris Johnson. The women who gave birth to Boris Johnson's children, but not the one who had 2 of his abortions while he was married. What a nice man. He's got an autobiography coming out. Do you reckon he's going to mention that? The fact that he got his mistress to have 2 of his abortions in the early 2000s and lied about it to the then party leader and ended up getting sacked as the shadow, I don't know, minister of being a gobshite or whatever his job was. I don't know. Anyway, penny a pint, Coke in the pub. Here we go. Coke in pubs costs 6p a glass to the pubs. Well, it used to be 1 penny. There you go, inflation, mate. I'm going alcohol-free cider all the way. The problem is the energy and rent for pubs, the same reason as people aren't having kids. Yes, Christopher, you're absolutely right. Too many cat ladies who don't want children. No, nothing to do with cats. No, but I'm going to bring this full circle back to talking about electric cars, or just any cars in general. No, that's a bit of a clue. Anyone got it? I can't see anyone in the chat who's got it. If you do actually know what it is, maybe put it in caps in the next 5 seconds. Otherwise, I'm just going to tell you what JD Vance said was causing the low birth rate in America. Right, your time's up. Okay, so JD Vance reckons that the cause of the decline in fertility in America isn't to do with maternity pay, because they don't have statutory maternity pay in America. He thinks it's because of car seats. Yeah. So since the 80s, it's been mandatory to have car seats in the back of the car for children, or in the front of the car. They're sitting in the front. And these car seats have to be, special seats, so the kids aren't just sitting there with a seatbelt on, or without a seatbelt on. Before the 80s, you didn't have to wear a seatbelt in many places in America. In some places, I don't think if you have to in the back. I don't know. But generally speaking, there is a rule saying that you have to have these car seats in the back, and you can only fit 2 in the back. So it's stopping women from having 3 children, you see. Because they go, oh, well, no, I'll have to get a bigger car if I have another child. Yeah, JD, that's the reason, mate. You've hit the nail on the head. And that's why the birth rate started massively declining in 2000, like 15 years after the mandate was brought in for safe car seats, which has saved hundreds of thousands of lives over the last 40 years. Lives of children. No less. I don't know if you saw that one coming, but there you go. You can look it up. It's true. Okay, let's talk about Rosie Duffield. Or should we just jump over to the newspapers? No, let's talk about Rosie for a moment. So Rosie Duffield is a horror show. She is a anti-trans campaigner. She thinks that women who are trans shouldn't exist, which is nice. The reason she thinks this is she's a bigot. That's the reason why she believes it. And she's one of these. This is the hill that she has decided to die on, along with J.K. Rowling and Graham Linehan and other grotesques. And yeah, I never wanted her in the Labour Party, and now she's left. So I'm happy that she's left. I'm slightly unhappy for her constituents who voted for her, as she was a Labour politician and a Labour candidate, and they voted for the Labour Party, not for her necessarily. If they voted for her, that's fine. Have a by-election, run again, get your seat back. Jeremy Corbyn successfully did that. There was a UKIPper who did that back in 2014 or something. He left the Tories to join UKIP, and he defected to UKIP, but he actually ran a by-election and fought for a seat again. I think it was Douglas Carswell, and he actually got it. Okay, well done, Douglas. I mean, I hate UKIP with all the fibre of my being, but that's what I think should happen. I think that's something that should just be the norm for politicians, but it isn't, obviously. And although I will cheer when Christian Wakefield crosses the floor from the Tories to Labour, wonderful. But I still believe that even when it benefits my side, my team, I still think there should be a by-election. There should be. If you are standing on a ticket, it's not just your name on the paper. This is the important thing. They have a little symbol, and you can have this little picture, right? Or whatever picture you want, your logo for your party. And that says, this is the party that I am standing with. This is the party that is funding me to run. This is the party that is giving me thousands of pounds from donations and union dues. So people working people who are in unions, some of their pay is going towards helping Rosie Duffield get elected as a Labour MP. Now, I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right that she uses that to become an MP and then 2 months later says, "Oh, I don't agree with what they're doing in this party, so I'm going to leave." I think she was looking for an exit for a while, but if she was going to stand on, a moral high ground, she should have done that before the election. She's had beef with Starmer before because Starmer quite rightly said that trans women are women, and she flipped out about it. He criticised her, and then he had to apologise because I don't know why. Because the anti-trans lobby is incredibly powerful in this country, unlike the trans lobby. Because don't forget, there isn't a single trans MP. There are 650 MPs, or odds. I think they changed the number, but it's about 650 MPs who are elected to Parliament, whether they turn up or not. And of them, exactly zero are trans. Zero. That's all the trans representation that you've got there. I don't think there's any major big companies in the country that are run by trans people. I might be wrong, but I don't think there's too many trans industrialists because trans people are a small subsect of society, a small and harmless subsect of society who are currently having the blame for everything thrown on them. I think this is just since we left the EU, because they can't blame the EU anymore, although some people are trying. The EU is making it difficult for us to trade with them. No, we asked for that. We asked them to make it difficult. Big shout out to anyone who made it to the march on Saturday. It was really successful. I mean, there were loads more people than I thought was going to turn out, which is fantastic. It was a sunny day, which really helped. God is a rejoiner. And really, really great speeches, particularly Femi and Liz Webster and Mike Galsworthy and others giving really, really great speeches on the stage there in Parliament Square. So thanks to everyone who came along. Hello to everyone who came up to me and said hello. That was really nice of you. I hope you're all right this morning. And now we're going to go over to the newspapers after slagging off Rosie Duffield. I think Duffield was hoping Starmer would push her and she could play the victim, says Christopher Bowles. Maybe. Is there a workable, widely accepted definition yet of what? That's BUF. You need to tell me what needs to be defined. Brian says there are those are called sans permis here in France. If they are less than 12 horsepower, they can be used to and from school. I'm completely missing the thread of that conversation. What are we talking about? E-bikes or something. Statistically, at least one or two should be in Parliament, says Captain Bart Roberts. I know. Good to meet you on Saturday, says Brighton and Hove, actually. Hello, Brighton and Hove, actually. I did meet you. I remember the name. Nick says, great speech at the Rejoin March. Thank you. Farouk posted it on X. Currently 6,000 likes, almost 2,000 reposts. Yay. Other people on Twitter have much bigger reach than me. A widely accepted definition yet. A woman is someone who is a woman. That's it. A trans woman is a woman. A black woman is a woman. A Muslim woman is a woman. Simple. Ian McKenna, how would that work though? Surely you're voted on your political ideas, not your sexual gender, says Ian. No, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that they just stand for the trans party or anything. I'm saying, well, someone else put it in there, statistically, Captain Bart Roberts, statistically, if trans people are, let's say, 2% of the population or 1% of the population either, there should be 6.5 trans people in Parliament. Just statistically, there should be. I mean, we want our Parliament to represent the people of this country, so be representative. I think it should be 50% women MPs. There should be the corresponding or thereabouts number of people from different ethnic minorities. And also, I'd like to see 93% of the population of Parliament having gone to state schools, like 93% of the population. It's got to reflect the population. The more it reflects the population, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And yes, that means that there are 20% of the people in Parliament are gammony knobheads. Yep, that's our population. Gammony knobheads. Let's have words. Let's have words. Ooh, first super chat of the morning. Thank you very much to Ivan Ambrose there for £5. Really appreciate that. That's really kind. Rosie Duffield says Starmer has a problem with women. That's complete and utter nonsense when key people in his cabinet are women. Yeah, worth pointing out that Rachel Reeves is the first female chancellor of this country for 800 years. This is the false dichotomy. It's a false idea that you can either be pro-trans or pro-women. You can't be both, and it's a lie. Trans people aren't here to take away rights from women. In fact, trans people, should and would, given half the chance, actually promote equality for women and basically making life better for women. And they're all part of that intersectionality between marginalized groups in society. And for a long time, women have been marginalized. And so trans women, cis women, black women, Muslim women, Christian women, however you describe yourself, working together is a much more, will be and is provably a much more effective way of getting that gender balance right and defeating the inherent industrial misogyny which exists on an industrial scale in this country and is embedded in all our institutions, in all of the way that, in just everyday life. And we talked about this, ergonomics. It's all based around the physique of a man, not a woman. Alf Smith, I would talk about the trans issue being nothing new, but YouTube are censoring it. Have you seen Honest Bob squirming when being called out over dodgy donations? Yeah, this is Bob Jenrick, Honest Bob, Robert Jenrick, who has got this. I think someone just said it was what was it, £75,000 worth of stuff from a sports company. Yeah, free stuff, yay, says the Tories, until it's like Labour getting free stuff. And it's like, oh no, free stuff, no, don't agree with that, Right, should we pop over to the papers? Should we pop to the papers? Just one moment. I will sort this up. Right, okay, right. We have the Mirror. Emergency money. Exclusive NHS budget boost. Chancellor would divert extra cash to hospitals and target waiting times, which is great news. I think we can all agree, unless we're a Tory, I guess. And then the other story that I was going to mention this morning is the rapid escalation of the situation and the carnage in the Middle East. So it was Gaza, then it was South Yemen. Now, South Lebanon. Now it has expanded to the leaders of Hezbollah being murdered, being killed by the Israelis, by the Israeli Defense Forces. We had the walkie-talkies and the pagers blowing up, killing dozens. Now thousands are dead, and the Israelis have moved their attention as well to Yemen and taking out Houthis, who are also backed by Iran, just like the Hezbollah, just like Hamas. And the region could fall into war. You're going to see something very strange going on. And we're seeing something very strange going on right now, because some of you might be watching this going, what's Saudi Arabia doing? Saudi Arabia right next to Israel, and lots of power, lots of money. Why aren't they defending Gazans? Why aren't they defending Hezbollah in Lebanon? Why aren't they defending the Houthis at EC? Actually, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, apparently. And the enemy of Saudi Arabia, and has been for hundreds of years, over 1,000 years now, is Persia. Because Persia is majority Shia Muslim and Saudi Arabia is majority Sunni Muslim. Different flavors of the same religion, but they hate each other, and they've hated each other for a long, long time. So you might be seeing like I say, we might be seeing it now, but not overtly. I don't know if it'll ever be overt, but it's the curious instance of the dog in the nighttime. There's a dog that didn't bark. Why isn't Saudi Arabia saying or doing anything about this? Protecting its fellow Muslims in the region? Because I think Saudi Arabia and Israel see themselves, in this case, as on the same side. How disturbing is that? Anyway, right, just to quickly go to the chat, because I noticed there's another super chat has come along. Oh, it's from Captain Bart Roberts. Thank you very much, sir. That's very kind of you. Captain Bart Roberts says, morning, every peeps. I would love to be in at the march. Spirit willing, body ain't. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Captain, but I'm glad you were there in spirit. And there were enough people to cover for you, honestly. We had about 15,000 people turn up, which is remarkable. I mean, come on. Like, this is something that the tabloids and the government, even the Labour government, the Tory government before then, the industrialists, the billionaires, the people who run the show, the privately educated elites, all want us to shut up about. And this is just proof that we're not going to shut up about it. Ever. We are going to continue to bang the drum for closer relations to the EU. And yes, rejoining the EU is our goal. And we know that it's a long way off. We don't care. We're willing to fight that fight. You're not going to make us go away. You're not going to make us go quiet into that good night, because we're not interested. We want our rights back. We want our freedoms back. End of. Right, so anyway, back to the newspapers. We've got The Guardian here with violence escalates as Israel targets Yemen in airstrikes. Again, so it's spread out now. Palestine, Lebanon, Yemen are all getting attacked by Israel. Not great. Anger over Badenoch's maternity pay remarks, which we covered earlier in the show. I mean, what? We've got Tory rivals trade barbs over excessive burden of maternity pay. Excessive burden. Oh, just piss off. Israeli tanks at border as Lebanon braces for battle. Again, disturbing escalations in the Middle East. We'll be talking about this extensively tomorrow night on Geoscope, me and Ollie. So please join us for that at 7:30 tomorrow. Daily Telegraph here with Badenoch. Sparks Tory splits over maternity pay costs. Comments being condemned from Tory leadership rivals at the start of the party conference. Like I said, this is a gift to Keir Starmer. I hope I don't know if he'll have to declare it. And then we've got migrants were Macron's revenge for Brexit, which is lies from the Daily Telegraph, which they're quoting someone there. This is the idea that we're being punished still by the EU for Brexiting, by them being mean to us and making us pull out of the Dublin Agreement, which we didn't need to pull out of. We didn't need to pull out the single market. We didn't need to pull out the customs union. Everything was on the table. We could have had a bespoke leaving the EU politically, but we could have stayed in it economically, effectively economically, with very few extra bits of red tape and hurdles to trade. We decided not to do that. We decided to pull out the Dublin Agreement, which allowed us to take people who were coming across in a boat back to France. So no one was even bothering to try. It was the most effective repellent that we had to stopping people coming over in boats. In 2016, no one came over in a boat. In 2017, no one came over in a boat. It was only in 2018, once we backheeled the agreement, that people started coming over in boats. A few hundred at first, and then thousands, and then tens of thousands of people coming over in boats, because for a lot of people, it's the only way to get here. If you want to claim asylum, it's the only way to claim asylum. And for a lot of people, they thought, well, I'm not going to get sent back to France as long as I've made it over, so far into English waters. Then there's nothing the French can do. There's nothing the English can do to send us back to France, because they haven't got an agreement in place like what they used to, because we gave that up along with everything else when we decided to Brexit. When our leaders, when the billionaires who tell us what to do and tell us what to think, decided that that's what we needed to do. Free from war, fear as Israel strikes Yemen power plant. There in the Telegraph, like I said, three places that are being attacked by Israel at the moment. The worry is that Iran will be dragged into this, and if that happens, then all bets are off. Here's why I left my wife for my mistress. That's from the Daily Mail, a newspaper read by deeply moral people with a great sense of morality. Here's why I left my... Macron wanted punishment beating for Britain over Brexit. Political memoir of the century. This latest lies from Boris Johnson. In explosive extracts, ex-PM says he was suspected French president was weaponising small boats crisis to undermine UK's vote to leave. really Johnson's idea obviously was to support Brexit, and this is all his fault. So he's trying to say that it's not. So I'm guessing that the quote earlier in the Telegraph there, migrants were Macron's revenge. That they're in the stupid bloody Telegraph. That was Boris Johnson saying that, and he's a liar. He's a liar and a thief. Cruel winter fuel costs will cost NHS 169 million a year. Cold payments policy would result in 262,000 older people needing medical treatment. Never seemed to bother the Daily Express when children were in this country were going into hospital with malnutrition, or that children are going to hospital routinely because of their teeth, because no one can get a dentist these days, and if you can, it's too expensive. Israel targets Iranian weapons network in Yemen after wiping out Hezbollah leaders. And then we've got Starmer fights sleaze claims with tighter rules on donor freebies. Prime Minister to close gift declarations loophole after MP Rosie Duffield quits Labour and accuses ministers of nepotism and avarice over revelations of free designer clothes and tickets for concerts and games. Indeed. Yes, indeedy. Invasion of the killer fungi. That's from the Star, because why not? And then you've got Israel's onslaught covered in the Metro, along with fight, serial, drink drive epidemic. There's 25,000 people have been banned twice. 300 have 4 convictions. The worst have 7 convictions. We need to nip this in the bud. If you are caught drink driving, that should be it. You should just genuinely never be able to get in a car again. In a car. Not even driving, just in a car. That's it. Walk for the rest of your life. You shouldn't have drunk and drove. Israel steps up attacks on Iran proxies is on front cover of the Financial Times, leading back into the story of, is this going to lead to full-scale war in the region between Iran and Israel? Something that's been in the offing for a long time. I just got a text message off my mate. He says he's not on this channel or anything. He says, "Why did the left hate Starmer so much? Genuinely confused." We could do a whole episode on that, but we just had a super chat come in from Ivan. Thank you so much, Ivan, for the £10 super chat. Graham, I feel exactly the same about campaigning for disabled people. We won't shut up and we're not going anywhere. We do need actual marches for disabled people, though, for those who can. Yes, couldn't agree more, Ivan. It needs to be something that shows people who are able how difficult it is to be disabled and get around. So, what I think would be a really positive way of getting this through to people is having I don't think this is, please don't think this is devaluing the situation, but when you have people who are able and you take something away from them, like their sight, you put a blindfold on them, or you bung up their ears so they can't hear anything, or you put them in a wheelchair and tell them they're not allowed to get out of the wheelchair, and then you have them going and trying to do their daily routine, and they find out how difficult it is. I think that's really, really effective. And if we could have some kind of TV program, documentary, whatever, of people trying to live the life of disabled people, I think it would open a lot of eyes. Because people just don't think. They just don't think. I posted a picture on Threads on Saturday on my way to the march, and it was just the platform of Durham train station. And it had a 1, which is the platform number. It had a 3, which was the zone. It had another 3, which was the car stop. It had a 4/5. And all these signs were in the same place, right? So you had a 3, a 1, another 3, but it was a black background with white numbers, and then there was a 4/5, and some of that's for the driver of the train. Some of that is the location of where your car's going to stop if you're on a particular train, like a Trans-Pennine Express train, but it's not if you're on a Great Western train. It's not if you're on a different train. And my point was, like, they don't make it easy, do you? And there was a Nigel Barrage of people going, "Oh, it's simple. Oh my God, you've been to every country in the world. You can't even navigate your way around the platform." And I'm just like, fuck off. If you are partially sighted, good luck with that. If you are in a hurry, yeah, good luck with that as well. If English is not your first language, or there's some kind of language barrier, so you don't know what the little words under the numbers mean, you just see the numbers and you're like, oh my God, there's literally 4 different numbers in a row in the same part of this platform. Which is which? I don't know. But, you know, if you're a train spotter or a train geek or you actually drive a train for a living, I'm sure it's very, very easy. But it was remarkable just how many replies didn't take into account people with disabilities. Because they're like, well, I find it easy being a massive train spotter. I mean, you know, cards on the table. It's not like I was at the wrong platform. There's only 2 platforms in Durham and I use that train station all the time. However, if you were new to the area and English wasn't your first language and you were partially sighted, good luck with finding where you're supposed to be on the platform for when the train turns up, because every train is different. Sometimes the A car is at the front. Sometimes the K car is at the front. You don't know. It might be on the screen, but if you're partially sighted, how are you going to find that out? Well, point is that a lot of people don't think about people who have different disabilities when they say, oh yeah, this is easy. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. And one of the things that I think that we really need to address in life in general is complexity. We need to make things as simple and as straightforward as possible, especially when people are doing something in a hurry, like parking their car or getting on a train or whatever, especially when getting on the wrong train in this country will result in a fine of £200, usually. Oh, you don't have a ticket for this train? Sorry, it's the other train. No. That's for the train that comes 1 minute later. Oh, sorry, you're on the wrong one. So that's going to be £200, please. We're just going to fine you £200 for making an honest mistake. Because that's the way it works these days. Honest mistakes are not allowed. Alec Barrett, thank you very much. The Arabians are annoyed about Canaan getting quaked. Pleased about it happening in Yemen, though. Yeah. It's a bit odd. Well, it's not odd. It's a religion, which is should be something that unites people, but it's generally quite divisive. And Captain Bart Roberts says, I missed a super chat. No, I didn't. I said, morning, every peeps. I would love to be in that march. Spirit willing, body ain't. Did you have another one? Did you have an earlier one? I'm scrolling all the way back to the beginning. Well, I'm sorry if you missed me saying thank you for that. No, there's not another one. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. I did read that. I did. Quick to the time machine. Farage isn't going away. Ditto the right-wing press. Starmer needs to tackle Brexit head-on. Appeasement doesn't work and never will. Yeah, I mean, I agree to an extent with that sentiment. I'm very much pushing for rejoining the EU. I do understand that there are constraints put on Labour on what they can actually get away with, considering they were elected with their red lines, with their stupid red lines. But that's what the majority of the... I was going to say the majority of the country voted, but it wasn't. It was only like 34% of the country. But that's what the majority of MPs were returned to do. Honest mistakes are seen as an opportunity for profiteering, says Brighton and Hove, actually. Yeah. Which infuriates me when you hear about drink drivers who have decided to get drunk and get behind the wheel of a car, putting people's lives in danger, are allowed to drive again. Whereas someone who has made an honest mistake can lose all of their wages for the week. I can't stress this enough. Your take-home pay, if you are minimum wage, is about £200 a week. That's it. If you get fined that for being on the wrong freaking train after you've already paid £200 for a bloody ticket, that's a week's wages that you can lose. And people just don't think about the people at the lower end and the people who are really struggling just to get through everyday life. Let's try and make things as simple and as easy as possible. And when people go, this is confusing, instead of replying, oh my God, I didn't find it confusing. Look at the size of my brain. Haven't I got a big brain? Oh! Instead of feeling that knee-jerk reaction to do that, how about you think, oh yeah, actually, I see that even though to me it makes perfect sense, for other people, I'm going to use my superpower here, my superpower of empathy, and I can see that for other people, that might be confusing. So let's make it simpler so it's not confusing. Thank you. Right, anyway, Graham, don't ignore the death cap mushroom story. That's actually really disturbing. Oh, okay. Was that on the front cover of the... Oh, right. Okay. This is the front cover of the Daily Star. Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. The dead man's fingers and death cap mushrooms surge across Britain. There it is on the front of the Daily Star, the invasion of the killer fungi. Yeah, don't eat mushrooms, everyone. Oh, and thanks to the super chat animation that just came up automatically. I didn't do that. But if someone wants to give a super chat during the credits... that was for you. That was for you. Right, we're going to be back at 8 p.m. tonight for Stateside. And we'll be talking about all the madness that's been going on in America for the last 2 weeks. which is a lot. There's been a lot of madness. We didn't do it last week because I was at the Labour Party conference. But actually, we were doing live. We were doing the live show. So, but this week, back in the studio here, in our spare room in Durham. And hopefully I'll see you then. If not, Uncle Phil is back tomorrow at 9:30 for Morning Brew. And if you could make it to that, love you forever. Thanks very much for the chat. Thanks for the super chats. Give us a like on the way out. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.